What is up? We are kicking off a new series today called Full Glam Fridays. So a lot of people message me asking me to do really glamorous tutorials, night out, date night, what have you. And most of the time I'm just not doing those things. Like I am at home with my baby. But I love playing, I love being an artist, and I think this is a really fun series to get to play around with makeup and do looks that normally you wouldn't wear out, like walking in the park, which I often end up doing, and people probably think I am crazy with big dramatic makeup. But let's have some fun. I am pumped to be here to do this today. So we're going to start with the Kevyn Aucoin Skin Enhancing Primer. And this is really almost more like skincare, but there is something about this formula that really just makes your makeup lay so beautifully. It's not pore filling, it's not even really mattifying, but it just gives the skin this a little bit of tack and this kind of luminosity that it doesn't come from a shimmer, which is really nice. So you don't end up looking greasy when you use it. You just look fresh. You just look good. We'll pat a little bit of that on the neck too. Next, I'm gonna go in with the Dior Forever Matte Foundation. This is shade 2, and I feel like it's a tiny bit too like peachy for me. I tend to skew a little bit warmer with my products. But this is it's not a bad match, it just could be better. So we're gonna dot that all over the face, and I'm going to use the new Tati Beauty Blend-A-Full and just give this a good little once over. I want the skin to be very light. I will mattify this even more with a powder, but I don't want it to look heavy or cakey. So I also tend to start with my foundation more towards the center of my face and blur out around the edges so that there's really never a hard line anywhere. I find that it just tends to look a little more natural, and I tend to like a more natural look. But you can see it's maybe a little bit off color-wise for me, but it's not terrible. The lighter shades just looked like way too light, like Casper on me, and I'm not a big fan of that. Next, I'm going in with the Maybelline Age Rewind concealer, and we're gonna get pretty crazy around my eyes because I tend to have some blueness. Yeah, we'll pull it down a little bit. And then also I'm gonna go a little bit right here because I'm a little bit more hollowed out there and I want that to pop forward. This is in shade 120 Light. I tend to be 120 in most Maybelline products, and I like Maybelline a lot actually because the pigments tend to pull a little bit warmer even if you're using like an ivory. I just find that the Maybelline skin products tend to look better on my skin than say like CoverGirl, which I feel has a much more pinky peach base across the board. So again, I'm using the Blend-A-Full here, and I'm just using the corner and kind of pinching it. And you can really kind of get up in tight spaces. Also, I like to go down the sides of my nose to cancel out any excess redness. And we'll pop that out too. I love concealer for this. We'll cover that a little bit better too because it's kind of on its way out. This is a great concealer, especially if you're looking for something a little more affordable in drugstore. I tend to have to build it up a bit. It says full coverage. I don't really think that it is, but it's a really nice concealer because you can build it up. And it doesn't create like a cakey texture, which is really nice. And then we're just gonna just lightly tap across the eye, cancel out any blue veins. Really patting everything. And I'm actually gonna build up a little bit under my eyes to get that to pop forward more. And you'll see this concealer does a really nice job layering and not picking up product when you go back in with another coat. Really just kind of bounce that on. All right, I am done with liquid and cream products, so I'm gonna go ahead and set my face. I'm going to use this little tiny Real Techniques brush and dip it into the Honest powder and just really kind of go through my T-zone. Again, kind of leaving a little more space around the edges of my face, so there's still that kind of radiance and a glow without being like, hey girl, get yourself a blotting sheet grease ball. Now the trick is setting around the eyes. And I try to use enough powder that when I brush over it, I'm not gonna move anything around underneath. But I've also kind of found that like, when I try baking, I feel like it accentuates lines under my eyes when I smile, and it looks crinkly and like kind of not real, and I don't really like it. I don't know, tell me I'm wrong. Like, does baking work for you? Because I don't feel like it looks normal on me. It's probably really beautiful just for photography, but in real life, I just feel like I look chalky. Okay, there is that. Now I'm going to add on a little hint of blush. I'm not going to go too warm with this. It's kind of a cooler mauve. This is from Vapour. And I'm going to focus kind of starting at the apples and then blush it, like brushing back with the blush. Get some on there. Okay, and then same thing over here. I kind of go between swirling and patting depending on how much pigment I'm trying to lay down. Tapping and stippling, I feel like you get more coverage, and then when you swirl, it kind of shifts that pigment outward. Now I'm going to go in with the Well People bronzer. I'm going to use the angled side of this double-sided brush. This is from Fitglow. I love their brushes. They dry really fast. They're really, really convenient if you're traveling. You don't have to pack as many brushes because they're double-ended, which is so great. Now I'm gonna go around the edges, kind of tap into that hairline so it's not super pale compared to my face. Now that my hair is darker, I feel like I can be a little more liberal with getting in there with a bronzer. Sometimes when your hair is lighter, mine was red, so it would make it look like extra warm around my hairline. Or if you're blonde especially, it's really, really hard to get in there with pigmented products because you kind of stain the hair a little bit, and that just looks kind of weird. And it's definitely kind of tricky to do. I'm going to drag a little bit down on my neck, but I try to avoid where my neck bands are. I don't want the product to collect in those. It's hard because you don't want your neck to look really fair and light if you are lighter like me, but then you also don't want to have like dark bands as those get oily and the day wears on. That's just no bueno. Okay, now I'm going to pop on a little bit of a highlight on the top of my cheekbones. This is the new Aetherbeauty highlighters. This is in Pink Diamond Dust, and these are just like glowing. They are so radiant, and the formulas are so soft and buttery. And you can find these on Aetherbeauty.com. I'll link a code. I do have an affiliate code, and it'll save you a little bit on purchases, but also if you shop at Sephora, you can find these at Sephora too. But just so soft and radiant. And this one is a little bit of a golden, warmer peach kind of tone. And I just think it is so pretty. I'm gonna take a little bit on my finger and just very lightly tap on the bridge of my nose because I want that to kind of stand out a bit more. And a teeny tiny bit on the top of my lip because my upper lip is thinner than my lower lip. But I feel really, really good about this. Let's move on to some eyes. Now, the important part about the eyes today is I am going to be playing with some darker shadows and some more vibrant shadows. So it's going to be very important to really tap that brush off. Let's start with the Eye Winger brush from Scott Barnes. This is a Lovinah palette. These are stunningly pigmented. Like, they are so vibrant and bright and beautiful, and they're creamy, and there's not a lot of shadow fallout. So this is from the Eye Magic palette, and I'm going to use this kind of silvery, slightly blue tinged gunmetal, and I'm going to go in on my crease and start there. So I'm going to use another mirror. Hopefully it's not getting in your way. I'm going to try. So I'm going to start kind of like so, angling and pulling outward. And I really want to create a very graphic eye shape today. And so what I'm going to do, round off around the socket a little bit, not fully closing my eye because I want to see where that shape is landing. And when you close your eyes, you can distort the crease a little bit, especially for me, I have more of a deep set eye. And so sometimes that can jump on me when I am closing my eyes. Now I'm going to follow the outer edge of my eye up towards the brow bone and create a really nice strong shape, filling in any of the spots that maybe look a little, actually that looks pretty good. I was gonna say look a little bald or patchy. And now I'm gonna take this, tap that off a little bit, and we are just going to stamp down from that angle that we've created into the lash line and on the outer portion of the eye, like so. Okay, very, very bold, very dramatic. I am going to blend this, but now we're gonna match it up on the other eye and pray to the heavens that we can create a balanced look. Okay. Now, same thing, starting kind of in that corner, drag out towards the brow. One thing you'll kind of notice too that I do is like sometimes I'll start a little bit lighter and then build that up. That way, if you need to kind of shift where things are, it's not a hard line yet. Okay, so stamp that in. I also think, especially when you're doing a really dramatic eye look, always kind of take a sit back and look at it and see, is this balanced? Because that's really what you're looking for, is that symmetry, especially with a very graphic eye look. Okay, and I'm happy with that, so we're gonna build it up. I'm gonna add a little more on that outer corner, down into the lash, and kind of pushing it in on that outer corner to really frame the lid space. And we can actually make this line a little bit stronger through here too, because we are going to blend that out, but I want it to have a very defined shape. Now, lightly dragging down. Don't want to make it too closed off, but again, very, very strong shape. Okay. Next, we are going to go in with the other Lovinah palette. This one is the Goddess Glow. Also very, very vibrant and very pigmented. And I'm going to use that shade right there. It is super bright. It is amazing. I'm going to take my ring finger. I'm going to dip that in there nice and well coated, like so. And we are going to pop that onto the lid space. I am going to leave a little bit of space in my tear duct area so that I can put another color there as well. But we are going to go right here, pressing and barely dragging just a teensy bit. Like so. And the important thing, you can kind of see there's a little gap between my lashes and the pigment. So I really want to press down into my lashes to make sure that there are no gaps. I will be covering with a liner as well, but I just, you know, let's make it easier and let's make it really complete. That way you're doing less cleanup work with other products. And then we'll just lightly kind of feather just a little bit so it's not like patchy or bald. Now we're going to go in on the other eye. You can see there's a teeny tiny bit of shadow fallout, but I'm going to put some powder on a brush and we'll flip that off in just a minute. Now, same thing over here. These shadows are just like, the pigment is incredible. I will also be using a brush to blend that into the darker, more gunmetal shadow. All right. Yes, girl, I am feeling it. Okay, so I'm taking that brush loaded with a little bit of powder, and I am just lightly fluffing off any fallout. Kind of shake that off afterwards. And really, there's not a ton of fallout with these shadows. They are so stunning. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of this like kind of mauve-y pink shimmer. It's like, it's so metallic and almost glittery. I'm going to use a flat brush, dip that in here. You could also use your finger if you use like a pinky or something that's small to get in that inner corner. Flick that off just a tiny bit. We're going to pack that color on the inner corner. Really make it vibrant. You can even wet your brush for this. And you'll notice like where those colors are meeting, they almost just blend themselves. Like they are so incredibly soft and really fine. I'm going to drag this down just a teensy tiny bit into that tear duct to give it a little sparkle and just really open up the eye, and it's just lovely. Now, same thing on the other eye. So pretty. Love that. Okay, now we're gonna get crazy with some blending, but I'm gonna do it very specifically to where I'm not shifting that pigment up too much. I'm gonna be very precise and almost use more of a sweeping motion with this eye look because I want to maintain that very graphic shape. I don't want it to be so blown out. You don't want it to be a hard line either, but you know, make it a little bit softer. I like that. Okay, let's match it up. Little tiny strokes just to kind of blur that edge. And then we'll pull this up a little bit. I feel very like Studio 54 right now, like very disco. I dig it. And then I'm going to use another blending brush. This is the Scott Barnes. And I'm really just gonna kind of drag this between that more vibrant blue and our gunmetal shade so that it's very soft transitioning. And then I'm gonna fling off some of the excess pigment. Same thing over here, just make it very soft. Like so. Now, we need something on the bottom of the eyelashes because it looks a little naked. So I'm gonna go in with that gunmetal shade again on, this is a Scott Barnes number 60 brush. It's not really a flat brush, it's a little bit rounded. This is also great for lip products if you want a really crisp line. But we are gonna go in on the very outer corner here and just kind of wiggle. And I'm gonna stop on the really outer third-ish of my eye, connecting into that stronger shape, like so. We're going to repeat that on the other eye as well. You can actually make that outer edge even sharper. Yeah. Now I'm going to use, we'll save that one, a flat brush. This is a Luxie 221. And I'm going to dip into that very, very vibrant blue. Really coat that little brush, tap off, and we are going to hit right there in the middle. And you can really drag this over. Really focusing in on the lash line, and you can kind of softly wiggle it down. We'll use our finger in a minute to soften out that line. Same thing on the other eye. Just a hint of overlap on those colors. You don't want to completely cover it up. All right, now I kind of feel like this needs a little more blending out on that corner. It's a little too harsh. That's a little better. Like so. Well, we're gonna soften this even more. I think it's a very strong shape, and it's gonna be strong no matter what I do because of how we laid in that pigment. Take a little bit of this. This is just a damp paper towel, nothing special there. And then whatever is left on this brush, we'll deposit a little tiny bit more. Cool, cool. Okay, let's pop on some eyeliner. This is a liquid liner. I'm gonna make a very, very soft cat eye shape, not too thick. I don't like super thick eyeliner on my eyes. I think that it kind of makes my lid space disappear. And especially with this color, I don't want to cover it up. But you'll notice I lay my liner horizontal on the lash line. Like so. And then I'm going to very, very lightly extend that shape out. like so. Same thing over here. Let's pray. You can see this one's a little bit longer, so we're going to extend that out and up. Voila. This liner is so intense, like does not come off. It's amazing. Got a little shaker in there too. Okay, so I'm going to do my brows. We're going to use the e.l.f. Wow Brow. Love this product. It's $4 and it's pretty darn amazing for adding some volume into your brows, a little bit of shape. I personally don't really do a ton of like pomade on my brows. I just think it's too tedious. I kind of like my brows to be a little softer and more fluffy. Sometimes I'll use like a powder or even a little pencil to fill in sparse spots, but lately I really loved this little $4 fiber brow gel. It's a little bit like the Glossier Boy Brow. We'll flick that off in a minute, let it dry. It's a little bit like the Boy Brow, but has fibers in it instead, which really kind of help to fill in the gaps in your brows. So it's a very fast product. It's not expensive. I'm a big fan. This will probably be a repeat buy for me. Second layer, just to fill in any more holes. I love that type of technique because you can really build up the brow shape very nicely and very quickly. Okay, brows are done. Let's take care of that little guy. I'm going to use an eyelash comb and this brow side. This should be dry now, so, oh, hello, there's a little fuzz there. We're gonna just flick. Apparently that does not want to come off like that. I'm just gonna rub for a minute. There we go. And same thing over here. I got like one little extra stray. Okay. And a little tiny bit of shadow fallout, so let's fix that too, so I don't press my hand into it accidentally. That would be so sad. Okay. Now I'm going to curl my lashes and apply Maybelline's Lash Sensational. I think this is probably my favorite drugstore mascara. It just makes your eyes and your eyelashes look so big and your eyes so open. I'm gonna go off camera to do this because I spend probably way too long on my eyelashes, so I'll be right back. Now, honestly, I could probably stop here. This is 2 coats of the Maybelline Lash Sensational, but because this is Full Glam Fridays, I'm going to add a couple of lash clusters on the outer corners of my eyes. These are medium and short. I can't find the long in stores for some reason. And I think that those would work better with adding a little bit of extra length and flare to my lashes. But I'm going to pop a couple of these on. Be right back. They just add that extra little, like just on the outer corners. I used 2 of the medium on the outer flares of my lashes. Last step, we're going to hit some lip liner on there. And I am going to focus on the outer corners of my mouth, leaving that interior portion a little more open because it makes my lips look a little bit fuller. And I'll show you how I do that. So this is the which color is this? Sacred Hibiscus from Eye of Horus. They're based out of Australia. And just barely overlining, not like really dramatic. You can see that's bare right through there. Same thing on the upper lip as well. Now, I'm going to fill in just a little bit. To get some of that color, almost creating like a natural ombre effect. And now I'm going to use my finger and just kind of drag that in. Like so. I had on a tiny bit of lip balm when I started this video, and now I'm going to top it off with one of my favorite lip products. It's a lip serum from a brand called Fitglow. Let me find that. You can see it's just like the prettiest rosé color with like a hint of shimmer. So let's concentrate that on the center of the lips. Corners. I don't want to glop too much product in the corners of my mouth because then it'll collect and get kind of gross. I'm going to add just a little bit more to the center there. I love these because they add that shine and sheen, but they feel more like a balm. They don't have like the tack of a lip gloss. It's really bold and dramatic. Those shadows are incredible. They wear so beautifully. But I hope that you enjoyed this first Full Glam Friday look. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.